Captain's log 170326. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Hopefully you had a little luck of the Irish on your side today. So I want to talk about decision making, when to take action, and when to just chill out. So often you'll hear from, let's say, prominent figures in the manosphere, um, prominent figures online about being like action oriented, like guys like whoever, Andrew Tate, who's his own personality, and he's trying to sell you a lifestyle and talks about like taking action. Who's obviously controversial, but some of the stuff he says is true. There's also guys like Jocko Willink, you name it. A lot of these leadership gurus, yeah, and they talk about taking action and cover and move is one of Jocko's sayings. Just you have to make a move sometimes, or often you have to make a move, and if you don't, you're kind of dead in the water. You're sitting duck, or things just don't happen. And that's a metaphor for life and about, nothing's going to happen until you take that first step. So a couple videos ago, I was talking about, going to the gym, and just like, not thinking too much about it, just get there and just like do something, like go make the habit, do it. Don't think about it, do it. And that's very prevalent throughout everything in life, work, relationships, whatever. But like everything, there's a dichotomy to this. And that's what I wanted to talk about quickly. So I don't have a lot of time tonight, so we'll get into it real quick. This one's going to be short and sweet. So being action oriented means you take responsibility for something, and you just do it. You do it immediately. So let's say you're wanting to get fit. Well, what better time than now? What better time than, right this very instant? Or, hey, I'm going to get up tomorrow, first thing in the morning. I'm going to set my alarm, 2 hours early. I'm not going to sleep in. I'm going to get up, and that's the first thing I'm going to do. And that's kind of the idea. But there's times where you start to be like reactionary, and you're not the one necessarily calling the shots. So to explain this, I'm going to give a couple examples. And one example is my own, the first one. So I'm at a job right now that is very disorganized, let's say. It's been disorganized from the start. There's been a myriad of problems, and the biggest issue that we've all been facing on this site, like all the different sub trades and everyone, is changes and change orders. And things seem to be fluid there, where layouts will change every other week, and rooms that you've finished already, you come back and they've decided to move things and change things. So it's very stressful that way. And I've been feeling like I've done this job over 3 times. Like I've constantly been doing the same thing. And earlier on, I was at this job by myself. I didn't have any guys with me, any apprentices, anything. And the only way I could get the work done, because it was a lot of work for one person, um, was basically to just like put the blinders on and go. I skipped a lot of my break time, throughout the week. Sometimes I would eat lunch, sometimes I wouldn't. I just went as hard as I could to get stuff done. And I have, site super calling me, hey, can you do this? Hey, and I just wouldn't think about it. I'd just go and do it. So I spent, quite a bit of time doing this, and then finally got um, apprentice and just different guys coming through, rolling through. I had a lot of the new guys to the company would start at my site. They'd be there for like a week, 2 weeks, and then they'd be gone. And it was just like everything just was fluid chaos. And if you know anything about construction and chaos, don't mix. So it was interesting to say the least. So I ended up learning a lesson in all that. And the lesson kind of came to me through experience. So what would end up happening? I would go and um, I'd get asked to, hey, Unit 902, they want to drop the ceiling. We need you to lower, your sprinkler head. Okay, I'll go down right away and do that, or I'll send a guy right away and like just get it done, because I got to get back into doing the suites that I'm in and finish all the stuff I'm doing. And maybe like half a year of this, and I'm just getting all this stuff done and attempting to keep track of everything at the same time, because my boss is going to wonder why'd you use twice as much material, why is it taking so long, all this stuff. So I'm trying to keep track of things as well. But I started to find, after a little bit of time doing this, hey, I seem to be hitting the same things multiple times. They told me they wanted to lower this, and now they want to raise it back up, or now they changed the layout as well. So it's obsolete anyways. So I learned this lesson about, you know, waiting and being patient, and not letting the job, dictate my work until I'm ready. And I started giving things the 3 week rule because I found, specifically with the guy, the site that I was on, and the site super I was working with, who was running a bunch of other things too. So he was living in chaos as well. And the owner telling him whatever, but not knowing exactly what's going on site every day. So I would give him the 3 week rule. I would hear what he says. I would, okay, yes, I don't have time this instant, but we'll get to it. And like, yeah, just remind me next time you see me. So I would note it, either in my notebook or keep track of it in my head. And I would give it 3 weeks. And before 3 weeks, it was like clockwork. I would run into the site super in the elevator, wherever, and he'd be like, how's it going? Blah, blah. And I'm like, not bad. Hey, I've been meaning to get to, whatever. He'd be like, oh, you haven't done that yet, have you? I'm like, no, we were planning on getting to it this week. And he would say, good, because it changed. We have to do whatever. So all of a sudden, this thing that was so urgent and needed to be done, that very instant, the week before or 2 weeks before, is changed again, and it's completely different. And now it's, maybe it's urgent again, or maybe it's completely canceled, whatever. So I just had this like lesson, and something that you have to kind of gain through experience, but to know, okay, I need to be action oriented, but I also need to dictate my own terms and not let life necessarily, push me around, or other people's whims push me around. You do need to go with the flow in certain ways, and you need to oftentimes you need to let go and let God, and not fight against, things that are happening or the inevitable. Um, and that's a lesson in itself. But you need to also know when to be patient. Being action oriented doesn't mean that you just go all squirrely and, willy nilly and just do things for the sake of doing things. Action oriented is, hey, I'm specifically doing this because this moves, my objective forward. And having like some sort of standard procedure for that helps. I would give myself, okay, I have, whatever work that I have lined up. And if something happens to, whatever, the floor that I'm working on, I can't go there for some reason. I have these other things lined up, and I just jump into one of those so that I keep progressing the job, but I'm not like sitting there and being like, oh crap, I can't do what I have to do. So I'm going to go, do something completely opposite to what I need to be doing, or to fight with whatever's going on, or to have the, you know, have to go to the site super and, hey, what can I do? And then have them dictate what I'm doing. I would have things like ready to go. And I would sometimes have to be patient and be like, okay, well, I'm going to go do this for a little bit, but I know I'm going to get back up to that level when they're done doing whatever they're doing in the way. So that's kind of my example that's close to home, because I'm living in that still. Like I'm still at that site. It's a very large building, a very complex building. So I'm doing a lot of different things there. And I still using that rule because, you know, lo and behold, shit's still changing, and yeah, fluid by the day. So it's good to, like, be patient, and, if you're going to be action oriented with purpose, like, don't do things just for the sake of doing things. When you're going to go and you want to get in shape, well, you don't go and hurt yourself. You don't go and whatever. You go and, okay, my purpose here, like, I'm going to go and do whatever. I'm going to go walk on the treadmill and build a habit. And if I do whatever other extra stuff there, cool. But it's because I'm there for a purpose. I'm not going there and then throwing my back out because I decided to try to, one rep max deadlifts after like 2 years of not being there, right? So, anyways, it's good to have patience. And thinking about this reminded me of this old Chinese proverb that many of you've probably heard before, but it's called the farmer and the horse. And um, it's told in many different ways, but the gist of it is, there